What if I told you that we have mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of the bottom of our own oceans? That at this very moment, there are creatures living in the deepest parts of the Pacific Ocean that we have never seen before. Creatures that defy everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. Welcome to the Mariana Trench. At nearly 36,000 feet deep, it's the deepest point on our planet. The pressure here is over 1,000 times what you feel at sea level. It's crushing, it's darkness, and it's completely alien to anything we experience on the surface. But in 2019, something happened that shocked the scientific world. A team of researchers sent a mission to the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. What they discovered wasn't just another fish or some strange creature. They found something that has fundamentally changed our understanding of life itself. And today we're going to take you on that journey. This is Focusmint, and this is the most incredible underwater story ever told. For thousands of years, humans have looked at the ocean and wondered what's beneath the surface. The ancient Greeks believed that the ocean was an infinite abyss, home to monsters and gods. Medieval sailors told stories of sea serpents and underwater kingdoms, and for centuries, these were dismissed as myths and legends. But as technology advanced, we began to understand just how little we knew. Today we know that the ocean covers over 70% of our planet's surface. We know it contains over 200 million species, most of which we have never identified. We know that there are underwater mountains taller than anything on land, underwater volcanoes erupting right now, and underwater rivers that flow through the deepest parts of our oceans. But here's what most people don't know. The ocean has layers, and as you go deeper, it becomes a completely different world. The top layer, where sunlight still reaches, is called the epipelagic zone, or the sunlight zone. It extends down to about 200 meters. Most marine life lives here. Most of the fish you eat, most of the whales you see, most of the coral reefs and kelp forests, all of it exists in this narrow band of sunlight. But below that, things get strange. From 200 meters to 1,000 meters, we enter the mesopelagic zone, or the Twilight Zone. Here sunlight fades to darkness. Bioluminescence begins. Creatures here have evolved to create their own light, their own language in the darkness. And this is where our journey truly begins. The Twilight Zone is one of the largest ecosystems on Earth, but also one of the least understood. Recent studies suggest that there may be over 10 billion tons of biomass in this zone alone, more than all the fish caught by humans in a year. And most of this life has never been documented by science. We're not talking about mysterious deep-sea creatures. We're talking about fundamental components of our planet's ecosystem that exist in complete darkness, completely hidden from human understanding. Below 1,000 meters, we enter the bathypelagic zone, or the midnight zone. No sunlight reaches here, ever. The pressure is enormous, hundreds of times greater than at the surface, and yet life thrives. In fact, life not only survives here, it flourishes in ways we are only beginning to understand. The creatures of the midnight zone are unlike anything found on the surface. The anglerfish, with its bioluminescent lure dangling in the darkness like a fishing rod, has evolved to hunt in complete darkness. Giant squid, with eyes the size of dinner plates that can detect the faintest glimmer of light, patrol these depths. And giant isopods, creatures that look like oversized versions of the pill bugs in your garden, roam the seafloor, scavenging whatever they can find. But the most incredible discovery in the Midnight Zone doesn't come from the creatures, it comes from the vents. In 1977, a team of scientists made an accidental discovery that would change biology forever. They were exploring the Galapagos Rift, a volcanic zone along the Pacific seafloor, when they came across something unexpected. Hydrothermal vents, also known as black smokers, were erupting from the ocean floor, superheated water loaded with minerals and chemicals. Around these vents, scientists found something extraordinary. Not just simple bacteria, but complex ecosystems. Giant tube worms over 2 meters long, giant clams, strange shrimp with eyes on their backs, and countless other species found nowhere else on Earth. And here's the incredible part. These creatures didn't need sunlight to survive. They were getting their energy from the Earth itself, from the chemicals in the superheated water. This discovery proved that life could exist without the sun, without photosynthesis, without any of the things we thought were essential for survival. This was a paradigm shift. For the first time, we understood that life could exist in conditions we once thought impossible, and this understanding would become crucial in our search for life on other planets. On moons like Europa and Enceladus, where similar conditions might exist beneath frozen surfaces. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We haven't even reached the deepest part of the ocean yet. Between 4,000 and 6,000 meters below the surface, we reach the Abyssal Pelagic Zone, more commonly known as the Abyssal Plain. This is one of the least explored environments on Earth. Imagine a landscape so flat that if you stood on it, you couldn't see the horizon, even with perfect vision. Desolate, silent, and yet it covers nearly half of the Earth's surface. The Abyssal Plain is not as lifeless as it appears. It's home to sea cucumbers that slowly inch across the seafloor, filtering organic matter from the sediment. It's home to sea pens that anchor themselves in the soft mud, swaying gently in the deep currents. And it's home to fish that have evolved to survive in conditions that would crush most creatures. Some of these creatures look so strange that they seem like they belong in science fiction movies. The blobfish, for instance, looks like a gelatinous mass of disappointment when brought to the surface, but in its natural habitat at depth, it's perfectly adapted to its environment. The coffinfish puffs itself up when threatened, and the snailfish thrives at depths that should be impossible for any fish to survive. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the Abyssal Plain is what happens when something dies. When a whale dies at the surface, its body sinks to the seafloor, sometimes traveling for weeks before reaching the bottom. This is called a whale fall, and it's one of the most important sources of nutrients in the deep ocean. A single whale carcass can support an entire ecosystem for decades, providing food for hundreds of species, from tiny bacteria to giant sharks. In 2022, scientists discovered a whale fall in the depths of the Indian Ocean that was estimated to be over 4,000 years old, and it was still supporting life. The bones were covered in bacterial mats, surrounded by polychaete worms, and home to a unique community of organisms found nowhere else on Earth. This is the power of the deep ocean. Even in death, whales create life. Now we enter the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. This zone extends from 6,000 meters all the way down to the deepest points of the ocean. It includes ocean trenches and troughs that cut into the Earth's crust, and it is, without question, the most extreme environment on our planet. The deepest point in the Hadal Zone is the Challenger Deep, located in the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean. Its maximum depth is approximately 10,935 meters, or nearly 36,000 feet. To put this in perspective, if you took Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, at 8,848 meters, and placed it in the Challenger Deep, there would still be over 2,000 meters of water above its peak. The pressure at this depth is over 1,100 times atmospheric pressure at sea level. Imagine holding the weight of 50 jumbo jets on top of your head. That's what the creatures at the bottom of the Challenger Deep experience every moment of their lives. And yet, life exists there. In 2012, filmmaker James Cameron descended to the Challenger Deep in his Deep-Sea Challenger submersible and reported seeing what appeared to be creatures moving in the darkness. But it wasn't until 2019 that we would get our first clear look at what actually lives down there. In April 2019, the DSSV Pressure Drop, a research vessel operated by oceanographer Victor Vescovo, made history. Using a state-of-the-art submersible called the Limiting Factor, Vescovo became one of only 3 people to ever reach the Challenger Deep. But this mission was different. It wasn't just about setting a record. It was about exploring, documenting, and understanding. The team spent hours at the bottom of the Challenger Deep, collecting samples, taking videos, and mapping the seafloor in unprecedented detail. And what they found would shock the scientific community and make headlines around the world. When Victor Vescovo's team reviewed the footage from the Challenger Deep, they expected to find a barren wasteland. The pressure was too extreme, the conditions too harsh for complex life to exist. But what they found was the opposite. Life was everywhere. Scientists identified dozens of species, including polychaete worms, spoon worms, sea cucumbers, and strange creatures that had never been seen before. But the most significant discovery wasn't a single species. It was evidence of something that changed our understanding of life on Earth. In samples collected from the deepest part of the ocean, scientists found something unexpected: plastic, tiny fragments of microplastics. The same pollution that plagues our beaches and surface waters had made their way to the deepest point on Earth. This discovery was both horrifying and eye-opening. It proved that human pollution has reached even the most remote, most inaccessible places on our planet. But perhaps the most important discovery of the 2019 expedition was something else entirely. In the Serena Deep, another deep trench in the Pacific, Vescovo's team discovered something that has never been seen before in the deepest parts of the ocean. They found a new species of snailfish, unlike anything found at these depths before. This snailfish was not only surviving at nearly 8,000 meters below the surface, but it was thriving. Schools of these fish were observed swimming freely, seemingly unbothered by the crushing pressure, and they were feeding, hunting, living their lives in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. This discovery was significant for multiple reasons. First, it proved that complex life could exist at depths we once thought impossible. Second, it demonstrated that even the most isolated environments on Earth are connected. Third, it opened new doors for understanding how life adapts to extreme conditions, knowledge that can be crucial for our understanding of life on other planets and moons. But the 2019 expedition wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. In the years that followed, new discoveries would continue to reshape our understanding of the deepest parts of our planet. And some of these discoveries would be even more shocking. In 2020, another milestone was achieved. This time, it wasn't in the Mariana Trench. It was off the coast of Japan, in the Izu Ogasawara Trench. A team of scientists from Japan and Australia deployed a lander system, essentially a camera on a rope, to record footage at depths previously unexplored. At 8,336 meters below the surface, the camera captured something extraordinary: a fish. Not a blob of bacteria, not a simple organism clinging to the seafloor. but a fish. A pink translucent snailfish, gently swimming through the darkness, seemingly at home in an environment that should be completely inhospitable to complex life. This was, and still is, the deepest fish ever recorded. It broke the previous record by over 200 meters, and it raised a fundamental question. If life can exist at over 8,000 meters below the surface, how much deeper can it go? Is there a limit to where life can survive? And if there isn't a limit, what does that mean for our understanding of biology, evolution, and the potential for life elsewhere in the universe? We're not just talking about fish either. Recent studies have found evidence of microbial life in sediments from the deepest parts of the Mariana Trench that are over 100 million years old. These tiny organisms have been alive, dormant, waiting in the deepest darkness on Earth for longer than humans have existed. And when scientists feed them, they come back to life. They revive, they reproduce, they continue their ancient existence in a world that we are only beginning to understand. The implications are staggering. If life can survive for 100 million years in the depths of the ocean, if it can adapt to pressures that would crush us, to temperatures that would freeze us, to darkness that would drive us insane, what else is possible? What can we learn from these extremophiles that could change medicine, agriculture, or our understanding of biology itself? The deep ocean is not just a repository of strange creatures and ancient life. It's a library of biological secrets, a laboratory of evolution, and a window into the past and future of life on our planet. And we have barely scratched the surface. The good news is that technology is advancing faster than ever before. In the past decade, we have seen incredible breakthroughs in deep-sea exploration. In 2019, the Limiting Factor submersible completed multiple trips to the Challenger Deep, proving that humans can explore these depths repeatedly and safely. In 2020, AI-powered autonomous underwater vehicles began mapping the seafloor in unprecedented detail. And in the coming years, new technologies will allow us to explore even deeper, even faster, even more efficiently. But perhaps the most exciting developments aren't just about exploring our own oceans. They're about exploring others. Ocean moons like Europa and Enceladus, which orbit Jupiter and Saturn respectively, are believed to have vast liquid water oceans beneath their icy surfaces. And if life can exist in the depths of our own ocean, perhaps it can exist in theirs too. The Europa Clipper mission, set to launch in 2024, will conduct detailed reconnaissance of Europa's surface and subsurface ocean. It will search for signs of habitability, look for evidence of hydrothermal activity, and prepare for potential future missions that could look for life itself. If we find life on Europa, it will be one of the most profound discoveries in human history, and the knowledge we gain from exploring our own deep ocean will be crucial to understanding what we find. We're living in an incredible era of exploration. Every year, we discover new species, new ecosystems, new phenomena in the deep ocean. In the past decade alone, we've found over 20,000 new marine species. We've discovered hydrothermal vents that support life without sunlight. We've explored the deepest points on Earth and found life thriving in conditions we once thought impossible. And we're just getting started. So why does any of this matter? Why should we care about the deep ocean? Why should we invest billions of dollars in exploring places that most people will never see? The answer is simple. The deep ocean is the lungs of our planet. It produces over half of the oxygen we breathe. It absorbs carbon dioxide from our atmosphere, helping to regulate our climate. It stores heat and releases it slowly, moderating temperatures around the globe. Without the deep ocean, life as we know it would not exist. But the deep ocean is under threat. Climate change is causing ocean temperatures to rise, disrupting the delicate balance that supports life in the depths. Ocean acidification, caused by excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, is making it harder for creatures like corals, shellfish, and snails to build their shells and skeletons. And pollution, from plastic to chemicals to noise, is contaminating even the most remote parts of our oceans. And now, there's a new threat. Deep sea mining, the practice of extracting valuable minerals and metals from the seafloor, is becoming increasingly viable as technology advances. Companies and governments are eyeing the deep ocean as the next frontier of resource extraction. But we don't know what impact this will have on deep-sea ecosystems. We don't know how mining will affect the creatures that live there, the processes that sustain life, or the global systems that depend on a healthy ocean. This is the moment to act. We still have time to protect the deep ocean, to learn more about it before we destroy it, to ensure that future generations can experience the wonder and mystery of the depths. But we must act now. Every year we delay, we lose opportunities to understand and protect one of the most important, most fragile, and most incredible environments on our planet. The deep ocean remains one of the last true frontiers of exploration on Earth. There are still places no human has ever been, creatures no scientist has ever cataloged, mysteries no philosopher has ever explained. We live in a time of unprecedented access to information, but the deep ocean reminds us that there is still so much we don't know, so much we haven't seen, so much we haven't understood. Every time we explore the deep, we're reminded of how small we are, how much we don't know, how much there is to discover. And in a world that often feels overwhelming, where challenges can seem insurmountable, the deep ocean offers hope. It reminds us that the unknown is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced, something to be explored, something to be cherished. The creatures of the deep have survived for millions of years, in conditions we can barely imagine. They have adapted, evolved, thrived in darkness, in pressure, in isolation. They are proof that life finds a way, that resilience is possible, that beauty can exist in the most unexpected places. The ocean covers 70% of our planet. It connects every continent, every nation, every person on Earth. When we explore the deep, we're not just exploring a remote wilderness. We're exploring a part of ourselves, a part of our world, a part of our story. So the next time you look at the ocean, whether it's from a beach, a ship, or a photograph from space, remember this. Beneath the surface lies a world of wonder, of mystery, of life that has survived against all odds. And that world is waiting for us to discover it. This is Focusmint. Remember, the greatest mysteries are the ones we haven't yet discovered. And the deepest secrets are the ones waiting to be found.